So we'd like to welcome our next guest, Michele Turner. Michele, welcome.
Hello, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by. We were just talking about Chinese food, so I'm not even going to pretend to pivot
Oh,
off
Yeah.
of Chinese food. We'll just pretend that didn't happen.
what was your favorite?
Oh, everything's my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, big
Okay.
Chinese buffet, and it's just you got to have
Gotcha.
everything.
Gotcha. Shrimp with lobster sauce for me, just in case anyone cares.
Good. Now we
I can't
know.
have the shrimp. Allergic to
Ah,
shellfish.
Ah,
okay.
I'll
But
have hers. That sounds fantastic. So, how's your conference going?
Absolutely wonderful. I was in one of the best sessions the other day on metrics. Just
Really?
really, really good.
Okay.
Vanessa had a great session where we talked about communications and the criticality, and then we broke out and did a couple of exercises or scenario type things. It was great. So
Now,
yeah.
is that I heard there were Reese's cups
What?
involved in that session?
Okay, I missed the Reese's cups.
Okay. Well, then
Yeah,
I'll have
so
to-
I'll need
maybe
to have a
that's upcoming.
conversation.
I have a weakness for Reese's peanut butter cups. Anything
When
chocolate and peanut butter.
When I
just,
spoke to Vanessa's mom at the opening reception on Sunday, she said one of Vanessa's sessions involved Reese's cups, and obviously that's the only piece of information I retained
Well,
from
lucky.
that conversation.
Wow.
So my apologies, Vanessa.
Shoot, and I went to one. I didn't go to both, so that was my
So
bad.
you went to the non-Reese's cups one. Okay.
Exactly. Scandalous.
I would have been at that if I knew those were getting handed out. Oh my goodness.
So tell us more. It's not often that somebody says to us, "I went to this really interesting session on metrics."
Yes.
Usually
Yeah.
people are like, "I went to this session on metrics and I regretted not being on the lazy river." So I'd love to hear. Tell us a bit more about that.
Well, first and foremost, they set the stage really well to say, well, you have metrics and you have KPIs and you have all of these different things. But at the end of the day, number one, who's your audience? So are you communicating to mid-level management? And it's more than just I have 10 plans completed and I have to complete 30. So here I am. I mean, how do you really make sure that you can show the effectiveness of the program, not just, sort of the count type of thing. And so the first half was just setting the stage. And then the second half, we all got into groups and we talked about how to develop those types of metrics per audience and how do you show it visualization of how things are trending. How do we make sure that you can identify if there were X amount of challenges in this particular area and you've documented those challenges, have you really followed up on the action items to be able to support the data that comes back from a dashboard perspective? Because you don't want those same things coming back year over year because it's obvious that you're not doing what you need to do to mitigate, the issue. So hopefully that's helpful to give you a little bit of a flavor.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, I can't remember too many discussions on metrics where I was, oh wow,
Taking notes. No, that's
I am a
fantastic.
BC risk resilience nerd. So
Okay.
those types of things just excite me. So
Well, you've come to the right place.
Yeah. Now you're having your own session, right?
I am indeed. I'm speaking tomorrow morning.
And what are you going to be talking about?
Lessons Learned, Stories of Continuity and Resilience is the name of the book, but it's really parsing through life with a continuity and resilience twist is the name of it. So
Without giving too much away, is there any
Yeah.
kind of
Can
nugget
you share
could
one lesson with us?
Yeah.
I can indeed. So set the stage. PARSE is the name of a framework and methodology that I've trademarked, which stands for Prepared, Assess, Remediate, Sustain, and Examine. And so I've identified that even though I use this methodology for organizations when it comes to continuity and resilience, I can align it, and I have aligned it to my life. So as an example, I talk about a situation where I really focused in on the remediation piece, which is creating different strategies. I was unfortunately involved in a reduction in force. And when that happens, when it feels like it's out of the blue, then you're thinking, okay, what did I do? What do I do? Oh no, do I have the skill set to be able to get something else? And the reality is, you know what? I have the skill set, the same skill set I had 5 minutes before I was impacted is the same skill set that I have. So shoot, I spent all this time doing strategy for these organizations. What's my strategy?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
My strategy is to continue down the path because the skill set that I have is not specific to one organization. It's I get to use it wherever. So, okay, strategically, what's my long term, short term? What are the strategies that I'm going to track to or assessing? I had to assess, doggone it, I need to take a break sometimes. I had a serious health situation, pulmonary embolism. I'd run myself into the ground. Well, my goodness, I'm not doing a very good job of slowing down in order to speed up. So, how do I assess my threats and the vulnerabilities and the risks, and then make sure that I take care of myself so I can be around to play with my grandchildren? They're
Yeah,
7 and 3, by the way, and they're absolutely adorable.
of course. Yes.
So, there's a little bit of a snippet.
No, I love that. It's interesting that you talk about using strategies that we've all used as resilience professionals for our organizations, but are we being reflective and are we resilient? What are
Exactly.
our strategies? And we see that with the burnout in our industry that we're
That's
all
exactly right.
missing. Like we tell organizations, be resilient, take care of yourself, be proactive. And then it comes to ourselves, we're like, nah, we'll do that later.
Exactly. That's exactly right. We need to basically practice what we've put in plans and everything else on down the line. Take care of ourselves. We can't manage a crisis 24/7 for however long just by ourselves. Someone else has to tap in. I'm done on this one. I've documented everything. I'm transitioning the information to you, but we get to do that.
That's a theme that's coming up a few times now as James and I have been talking and talking with different people and other attendees is that burnout that we have to start looking at ourselves as well if
Have
we
to.
want to be able to start really not just moving ourselves but even the industry forward.
That's right. That's right. If you are so tired that you can't really give anymore, how are you helping yourself, number one? But how are you helping the industry? How are you giving back? Because that's another piece of this. When you take a look at parse, the last piece is examine, which means I need to examine everything that I've done and make sure that I know how to pull it into a steady state type of process. But I can't do that if I'm so blessed tired
Yeah.
that I have
Yeah.
nothing left to give. So, how do we make sure that we really put that program management spin on business continuity? Business continuity is not a project. A project has a beginning and an end.
Yeah, with a set deliverable.
There you go. Business continuity is that gift that keeps on giving. So, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't feel like that.
Yeah, I hear you.
I wonder if it's a lot of our colleagues are a party of one, a team of one, a single point of failure. And are they reluctant to admit, like, hey, I need to take a break because the way their program's set up, they don't have a backup, they don't have a team.
I
So
hear
if they
you.
take a break, it's just quiet.
So, a couple of things there, though. Number one, we need to acknowledge the areas that we can leverage assistance. So maybe you have a contact from a risk management perspective. You need to develop that relationship anyway. And maybe there are certain things that, as part of being on the crisis management team, the security team can provide some additional support in terms of facilitating that particular discussion, making sure the action items are complete before the next session or identified and communicated before the next session. There are areas that we can reach out and potentially get some assistance from our partners. Now, that doesn't mean that we have to turn over our whole role to them. But if we're in the business of being prepared, then who's our backup? Even if it's not, I mean, even if it's something where at a high level, you can ask your manager, you know what, I'm going to be out and here's some things that I'm looking to be gathering in the time that I'm out. Can you just make sure that you're the point person? And even if you want to set them over here for when I get back, if there's no, time sensitive type of situation. But we've got to learn how to make sure that we can communicate. We don't have to carry all of this on our own. And we shouldn't.
Do you think maybe a part of that is because we're seen as the people quite often when something happens, James or Michelle, you're the go-to people, so when something does happen or we're feeling burnt out or we're feeling, not the greatest, that we have a fear of admitting that because we've created this perception of being the go-to person who's always on, who can do this.
Vulnerability is not a weakness. Vulnerability can be a strength because vulnerability is honesty and it's transparency.
Mhm.
And there's a quote, and I'll talk about it tomorrow during the session. Admiral Stockdale, I don't know if you've heard of the Stockdale paradox, but basically he was a prisoner of war, and he was able to be released, and they said, oh my goodness, tell us, what inspirational things do you have to tell us from this situation? And in essence, he said, you know what? Basically, we need to understand what we're going through, but we don't need to, and I'm paraphrasing, have that false sense of security, not realizing what the reality is.
Yeah.
Because if we don't deal with reality, then we can't deal with the situation. If we figure that things are all rainbows and bunnies,
Yeah.
then we might develop a mitigation strategy that doesn't meet exactly what we need, and we'll be in a worse situation. So I say all of that to say, vulnerability, be real about what the challenges are, be real about where you need assistance, have those conversations. And you might not get, if it's a resource perspective, you might not get resources right off the bat. You have to develop your story and the justification. That's just business, but don't hold it in, because you're going to mess around. And as I say, you're going to end up in a ditch twitching somewhere because you are so burnt out, you have nothing left to give.
Yeah. As a practicing Buddhist, that looking at yourself, looking within, is
There you
a
go.
key focus. And all the materials that you can read about that with, in Buddhism, they say it's one of the hardest things to do
Of
is to
course.
look at yourself and admit vulnerabilities.
Be honest.
But and
Yeah.
and as you said, it's perfect. Because if you can do that and admit your vulnerabilities, you're showing more strength than you actually
There
think
you
you
go.
have.
And now we can do something about it. But when
Yes.
you didn't say anything, I don't know how to help you.
Yeah, and that's tough. That's not easy for a lot of
Oh,
people.
heck yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you end up with people like that have come up quite a few that we've talked about. Where the industry, many of us are burnt out,
There you go.
or leaving the industry.
Exactly. And we need us.
Yeah,
We
I think
need
we do.
us here.
I think so.
We do.
Yeah.
Especially these three. Right?
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So, Michelle, I have to admit, I'm a huge fan of your employer. I'm a
Ah,
Marriott fanboy, I guess. Marriott guy. I've traveled a lot last 10 years.
Okay.
Marriott only, always, forever. So
excellent. Well,
My-
yeah, I sort of like him as well.
I would
I
hope
hope
so.
so. I hope so.
I would hope so.
And I want to apologize because I keep messing up the name of the the Desert Ridge
We
here.
keep
so
teasing
Oh my
because the
goodness.
title of this hotel is so long.
Yeah.
Yes.
We've stumbled on it a few times, but I do love this hotel. It's my favorite conference hotel, and Marriott for life is all I'm
Yes.
saying.
And I will give
So-
you an insider thing.
Oh yes.
Oh, okay.
So it's Marriott, not Marriott.
Oh,
Very.
And
that is
day
insider.
day one of our orientation, that's one thing that
They-
we go over, that they make sure that they reiterate. And I will share, I was in a meeting, I was in a board of directors meeting, and David Marriott was right there, and I did my spiel and things of that nature. And I said, now, I'll move forward. Does anyone have any questions? And he said, well, Michelle, you are off to a good start. You pronounced our name right.
That's high stakes. It's his name. So
Yeah.
very
So
impressive.
there you go.
Well, we appreciate that insider info,
Yes.
or at least I do. So
Yeah. I'm probably still going to pronounce it wrong.
That's
I
all
keep
right.
getting
I'll
there.
forgive you.
But that is interesting though, because I thought it was pronounced the other way as well.
There we go.
So
learn something new every segment.
you
Alex.
do? Yeah, we do.
But thank you for being a strong Marriott supporter.
Of course. Absolutely.
Unfortunately, you don't have one in Thunder Bay when I go home for Christmas, but otherwise I'd stay there. So,
Uh-huh. Mental note. Let me write
yeah,
that down.
Yeah.
Take that
But
to
I've
Dave.
I've heard rumors you might be moving into a hotel. There was a sign there the last time I was there. So I'm going to look at it to see if it has happened.
Okay.
And if so, at
Let me
Christmas, I
know.
will be there. So Thunder Bay, lots of snow. So,
I'm sure it's a target market for the company.
Yeah.
You never know.
Snowmobilers and ice fishermen and things like that
Yeah.
up there.
Like 4
So-
nights a year. They're
Yeah.
packed.
Yeah, that's about it. Michelle, if people have questions for you or want to reach out and get more information from you, or need help, how can they find you?
Oh, get a hold of me on LinkedIn. Can't remember the exact LinkedIn thing, but just look me up. Michele Turner, one L Michelle. And yeah, take a look out there. Look me up. I'm on. Let's see, what else am I on Twitter? At Michele L Turner, I think, is my handle there. So yeah. Or are we not calling it Twitter? I think it's X now,
X
right?
now,
I
isn't
still call it
X?
Twitter.
Okay.
I'm an old guy. I'm gonna call it Twitter forever.
Yeah,
I'm not going with a name change.
yeah,
So
yeah. I'm gonna do the same thing because I know what people are talking about when they say Twitter.
exactly.
There we
So,
go.
you know, not X. X sounds like something bad to me.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
was like,
You
don't
know?
put it. Yeah,
you can find me on X.
no.
What? So thank you so much. All
Of
the best
course.
with your session tomorrow
Well, thank you
and
very
giving
much.
us a little bit of insight into parks.
Sure.
And what time is your session tomorrow?
10:45.
Okay, so
10:45.
you've got the good time. We were speaking with Regina Phelps. She has 8 a.m. I was like,
Okay.
that's a tough 10:45. I'm actually awake by then. Everybody's ready to
Okay.
go.
Well, I'm
so
the
you
last
have-
one before everyone leaves.
Yeah,
so
but
either
every-
it's good or I won't have anybody there because they left
No,
early.
I think you'll have.
You'll
it's
be good.
always it's usually a full session. So
Well, I'm
that'll
looking
be good.
forward to it.
You'll be good. Well,
Congratulations.
thank you so
Yeah.
much, Michelle.
Of course.
Great
Thank
to
you.
finally meet you in person.
Yes. Nice to
Wonderful.
meet you as well.
It's good to see you, Michelle.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Thank you. Have a great day and enjoy the rest of the conference.
All right. Guys have a good one as well.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
If you like that video, thumbs up. If you didn't like that video, thumbs down. But leave me a message and let me know your thoughts. Of course, don't forget to subscribe. And in the meantime, stay prepared, everybody.